So I have figured it out. Aren't you curious about what I figured out?
Yes, always.
Okay. So I figured out the idea that may not bring us millions. It may not even bring us thousands. It might bring us in the neighborhood of hundreds of dollars. But you know what? It might bring us a lot more too, actually. Okay, so do you know about the phenomenon of toast sweat?
Toast
Sweat.
toast like bread?
Yes, toast like bread, sweat.
No.
Now, this is not a term I invented. It's a term that I got from Frasier, the greatest sitcom of all time.
Okay.
But like when I mention it, I think people instantly know what I'm talking about. If you were to take a guess as to what toast sweat is, what would you guess?
Something to do with, I don't know, toast condensing in a bag.
Not bad. You're on the right. You're
Okay.
on the right track. Well, you're on the right track with condensation. But think about it. Toast is not usually in a bag, right? What's usually in a bag? Bread.
Bread in the bag, yes. Yeah.
Right. What like so where is toast usually?
In a toaster.
In a toaster or
Yes.
shortly after on your plate.
On your
right?
plate. Yeah.
Yeah. So the phenomenon, and I'm sure you've experienced this if you've ever eaten toast or made toast for yourself, but when you make toast and then you put it on your plate, you get toast sweat. Like this condensation that kind of builds up just underneath the toast.
Okay.
And it makes it a
Yeah.
little bit soggy. And recently what I've been doing, I don't know why I'm only been doing this recently, but I what I do is like my plates are angled up. Like there's a little bit of a ridge around the plate, not around the plate, on the edge of the plate, as a lot of plates there are. And so I kind of like when I take the toast out, I kind of balance the toast on the edge of the plate, and so there's a little bit of a gap to let the hot air escape, so there's not as much condensation.
Okay.
So I started thinking, man, wouldn't this be a great idea? So you know, baking racks,
Yeah.
like you know those like racks that you put on your table and you put cookies on them after you
Yeah,
bake
it's
them.
elevated.
So cool. Yeah, exactly. So I started thinking, what if we made a plate with built-in ridges, almost like a cast iron, ridged, pan, but it's a plate that has ridges on it. And so when you make a piece of toast, you put that toast on that plate, like you're not going to get any of the condensation on it underneath it.
Can't you just use like what are I don't know what the name is. There's like little mini versions of those like baking or cooling rack things. You not seen those?
Are they meant for personal toast use though?
I mean no, but I mean just like marketing, right? That's just marketing.
Yeah. Well, and also it's a separate thing. Like if you have that on your plate, and
Right. It's a built-in.
You got this thing. Yeah, it's built in. Like it's built into the ridges of the plate.
Yeah.
And you have your toast there. And so you see, I'm realistic. It's not going to bring us millions of dollars, but I think what's brilliant about it is I don't think I've ever seen this. I don't think I've ever seen. Have you ever seen a plate with ridges on it?
I don't know.
I bet you if we Google it, they probably do have it. Plate with ridges.
Also, there's probably a reason for that. It's probably a really bad plate.
Yeah.
Everything just gets stuck and you can't like cut anything.
Oh, actually, that's a good point. Even washing it, because like one of the big issues, like you and I know, washing a cast iron pan, right? Like if you don't have one of those like cool scrapers, it's really hard.
We'll make it dishwasher safe.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, actually, most plates are. Right? So, all right. Welcome, everybody, to episode 43 of the ETC podcast, your one-stop pod for entertainment, technology, and cars, and all things random. We did miss our weekly episode by a day. It's only been 2 weeks since we've been back, and I gotta put the blame on myself here. I was feeling a little bit sick the past couple days. I on Tuesday, I swear to God, I was talking from like 2 p.m. until like 10 p.m. Just in meetings and presentations and all stuff like that, and got super exhausted. So I felt terrible Tuesday. Wednesday felt better, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to take it easy. So I let our fans down. But people who were keen enough to follow us on Twitter, they got the news right away. And those 20 or so people, 20 is not bad actually. 20 or so people that are...
Yeah, that's how many followers? Yeah.
I'm gonna say yes. I don't know exactly.
Yeah.
But maybe 10. It could be 10. I don't think it's less than 10. I think a decent amount of people are
digits.
following us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're in double digits are following us. So if you don't know, guys, we do have a Twitter account. It's at the ETC podcast. There was a bit of feedback that we got from our friend Andrea, actually, that said she couldn't find the website because I spoke too quickly when I was like reciting this stuff or whatever. And I told her it's in the show notes. So if you're looking to leave us a voice message or find our website or whatever, it is anchor.com or no, anchor.fm. So ANCHOR.FM / the dash ETC dash podcast. Hopefully that's slow enough, but you can look in the show notes. You can leave a voice message, follow us on Twitter. You guys will find out all the news in terms of if we're sick one day and we can't release a podcast. So, but we are back. It's only one day late. Lots to talk about. Aaron, how have you been doing in the day off that we had?
Yeah, it's like so long.
Yeah, man.
Well,
Lots
I
of
mean,
crazy-
give me more time to dig into all the Apple things. I don't know
Yes.
if you got a chance yet, but obviously there's
Yes.
an event on Tuesday, was it? Yeah, Tuesday.
Yeah. Tuesday. So FDK, for those who don't know, FDK, it's Apple had their semi big September announcement, right? Because usually September they have some big announcement, and usually it's centered around the iPhone. Yet another victim of the pandemic right now. Apple has split up their event. So they had a kind of mini event on Tuesday, and they're having another event rumored right now at the end of October for the bigger kind of iPhone release. So this Tuesday, they released. I don't know. Did you watch it? Did you watch the actual event?
Yeah, I did. It was only like an hour or something. It was pretty short.
I didn't watch it actually. I didn't have time to watch it. I kind of skimmed through kind of the highlights, and it's. I don't know about you, but like, I feel like, and I know a lot of people say this. A lot of people say Apple is not what it used to be, and Apple not as good when Steve Jobs stepped down and all this stuff. I think the company is still amazing, and I think they're still doing amazing things, but I just feel like the excitement since, maybe even the iPhone launch, like the original iPhone launch, has never like really been crazy. Like, I don't know about you, like when you watch these things, are there times when you're just like, oh my God, like that was like insane, or like,
I mean, it's hard to compare to something like the iPhone. Like that's basically going to be solidified in history as one of the best kind of launches and things, right? But no, I mean, this is an interesting topic, and actually that like all I have today is Apple things.
It'll make Dave
and we're
very
gonna dedicate
happy.
it to we're going to dedicate that to our friend Dave. But no, I mean, I don't know if I want to get into this, but I think last few years, we've talked before, right, about especially with the iPhone, right? I think with the iPhone, that has changed, right? Like the reaction and the excitement maybe around that has evolved, but it makes sense. I mean, what are we going on year like 12 or something? I don't know how many years since that original one, but that makes sense. It's not what you'd call a new, early product anymore. So I guess you get different kind of developments and things like that. But no, it's interesting. I think I would say the last year or two, I've started, because there was a good period where it was just like, okay, like every Apple event is sort of like, okay, everything makes sense. I'm not excited about this stuff, but but I would say the last year or two, there's been a few things, and I think it's like, again, there's some things to get excited about now with things like what they're doing with AirPods, even watches and things like that, where there's a little bit of that kind of, like, whoa, I can't believe they did that with that thing, right? So again, I don't want to,
But I think that's the thing though. I think a lot of what's kind of announced. Well, first of all, I think the problem is the leaks are getting worse. Like the like, and again, whether they're doing this on purpose or not, or like they don't care as much, like the secrecy is kind of gone a little bit. Like, so, I mean, like, you know, the rumors of like the Apple Watch 6 and the iPhone 12 and like most of the stuff is kind of out already, and most of them are very accurate.
You don't get that initial, oh wow, I had no clue this is coming. You don't get that excitement. But I think where I am getting like a little bit more back in the camp of like, you know, I've always been an Apple fan, but now I'm getting back into, wow, like, you know, they actually make some of the best products in the world, and getting excited about the user experience again is actually trying out some of these things. Like, you know, it's coming.
Yes.
But then when you try it out, it's actually getting to the point now where you're kind of impressed how well it's done.
Okay, so let's talk about that actually, because I was going to bring that up because like, so one of the things that I feel like you're right, because I think that's the thing. It's like the dramatics are kind of gone. It's like, and again, I remember like I've watched the introduction of the iPhone a couple times now, where he talks about it's a widescreen iPod, it's a internet communicator, it's a phone, you know, and they keep spinning around. It's like, are you guys getting it? Are you guys getting it? And it's like, it's such an awesome reveal, right? And like, and the first time, you know, he shows things like cover flow and all that stuff, like it was just like so cool. And I remember like getting so excited about it. And I remember when the iPad came out, it was actually quite disappointing. I was like, oh, okay, this is kind of whatever. And then it kind of went downhill from there. And even the watch, I was so excited about the watch because I was like, the watch is going to be like Apple's going to nail it. They're going to make a nice, elegant watch. And I was even disappointed by the watch because it wasn't a round face. I was like, expect like all these prototypes that came out of the Apple Watch being a round face. I was going to be like, this is going to be so good. Apple's going to do it. Now, but don't get me wrong. You're right. Like the stuff is awesome, and when you use it, it's awesome. And you know, any Daves out there that are against iOS, like, you know, just don't know what they're talking about. But let's talk about, okay, so here's the thing, talking about experiencing things, right? So I'm assuming you don't own Apple Watch Series 6 yet. I'm assuming you don't own the new iPad yet because you can't get them or whatever. But what did happen yesterday is iOS 14 was released. Again, for all the Daves out there, like, this is huge news. So iOS 14 came. Now you had downloaded the beta, right? You'd been playing around with it for a while, right?
Yeah, a few weeks at least now on iPad, the phone, and watch as well.
Right.
Yep.
So I downloaded it for the first time yesterday. I haven't done it with the iPad, and you were telling me there's a lot of cool stuff with Scribble that I hadn't really dove into. But I'll tell you the thing. So I downloaded it, and I was like, you know, I'm an early adopter in terms of like trying the new things, the new widgets and stuff like that. And so very quickly, I actually realized I like my home screen, and I didn't add the widgets and all this stuff. So there's a lot of stuff that they introduced that I was not super impressed with yet. I'll tell you the thing though that blew my mind yesterday.
I hope this is the same thing that blew my mind as well.
I have a suspicion that it did, because you've been playing with the beta, and there's something that came out only yesterday or 2 days ago that's available to everybody. I am talking about spatial audio.
Yes.
Yes! This thing is crazy! Okay, so FDK. So spatial audio is... so you have your AirPods, and it works with the AirPods Pro and the second generation AirPods. But basically, it's like you're watching your phone, and it basically simulates the audio actually having spatial reference. So what that means is, like, if you turn your head left or you turn your head right, you're going to hear it out of one direction. But and here's the thing. So I don't know if you know, Aaron, but like there's a company. Well, obviously you know the company. Boss. You know, like they make like guitar pedals and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So they actually came out with headphones a year or so ago called like the Waza Air, and they're basically headphones, but there's like a guitar amp, but in headphones.
Yeah.
And what they had is they basically had kind of similar technology. The idea was that you'd be like playing your electric guitar, but you would almost like hear it as if the amp was like in front of you. So that it moved your head or whatever, right? And so, again, for those who don't know, this is what it's like. It's kind of like the idea that you're listening to audio that's not really like just piping through your left and right ear. It actually has spatial awareness. Now, my experience with this, it was mind blowing. Okay, so I was in bed. This was like late last night at like 1 a.m. So my wife Breton is going to sleep. I put in my AirPods, and I'm like, I do have the latest update. So I'm going to try spatial audio.
Yeah.
So I throw on YouTube. and I'm like moving my head, and I'm like, this is not that great.
Yeah.
It's not really working. And then I realized, oh, wait, YouTube doesn't work with this yet. So switch to Apple TV, throw on Edge of Tomorrow, Tom Cruise and
so Apple TV as in their like streaming app, like the not
yes.
Yeah.
Actually, that's a good point because this is
there's a lot of caveats here, but
So I turn it on, and right away I'm like, oh shoot, like it's not playing through my headphones. I'm like, it's like, oh, it's playing out of my phone. I gotta turn it down, or else I'm gonna wake up Breton. And I'm like, wait, no, hold on, that's part of it.
Oh, that's amazing.
So instantly I was like, what the hell? So for those who haven't experienced it, it's almost like your iPhone. It feels like I'm holding a home theater in my hands.
Yeah.
Right? Like it feels like.
I think I was trying to. There's not been a lot of information on, what you have to watch and how this actually works. But apparently you need a certain source for the audio, like a certain source format, and I think it's Dolby Atmos. Is actually you need that specific audio stream.
Okay. So it's already encoded for right.
So Dolby Atmos has again. I think I was much more into home theater like way back when home 5.1 systems and stuff started coming out.
Yeah.
But I've kind of lost track. But there's been a lot of advancements, and one of the advancements is this thing called Dolby Atmos, which I don't know exactly how it works, but I think the basic concept of having multiple channels for audio. This takes it one step further where it's not actually channel based. It actually maps out, like given a scene, where positionally in 3 dimensions something is.
Right.
So let's say you have a plane making a sound. Instead of saying, put some audio through the speaker and that speaker or whatever, not only does it know, on like forward, backwards, left, right, it's also height. So you need that specific audio source apparently to use spatial audio on the AirPod Pros, and honestly I think it's only the Apple TV app, so very limited selection. But anyways, continue. You try Edge of Tomorrow.
It's like it was so crazy because it was a lot more than the left right head test. It was more the fact that even just when I was watching it straight on, it honestly felt like it wasn't coming from my earphones.
It sounds crazy. That's the thing that blew me away. And I think maybe, I don't know if they did this on purpose, but all the stuff Apple said about this, they focused on that kind of gimmick of you can turn your head and the sound still like, is coming from wherever your screen is located. But it's more than that. What it actually is translating that Dolby Atmos source into some magic that makes it seem like, you're actually listening to that audio and like surround sound, right?
Yeah, it is. It is it's the first time where I thought maybe I'll watch this. Maybe I'll watch movies through my AirPods rather than through my 5.1 stereo system because it's that good. Yeah. It's just so crazy.
So this is my whole I actually for once wrote notes down because when I was when I was experiencing it, I was like, I gotta write my thoughts on this because something kind of clicked. And I think so here's the thing, right? Like AirPod Pros, they're not cheap, right? What are they? 350 Canadian or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So from the basis of being a pair of headphones, that's crazy, right? There's not that many kind of mass market headphones that are that expensive. So that sounds expensive. But then, when I was actually testing this on my iPad Pro. Okay. So because again, I had to watch something on the Apple TV app. When I was watching that, I basically, something hit me, which is this is not only probably the best display you can watch something on today. Yeah. The iPad Pro has a better display than most, $4,000 or $5,000 TVs, right? Yeah. Not only that, but the audio is probably way better than, definitely way better than anything I have set up with my soundbar and stuff like that. And from that basis, right, individually those are expensive devices, but together it's actually way cheaper than any sort of home theater setup, right?
Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy.
Totally.
So that's the thing that got me thinking, this is why these products are so brilliant, right? Because on the basis of just being headphones, it it seems overpriced. But if that becomes a way for you to watch movies, and the experience of that is way above any home theater setup you could buy for anywhere close to that price, I mean that's kind of brilliant. So
it's mind blowing. I mean it's like it's so weird because it was such a small touted feature, but I was like. It was almost like I was even really impressed by the noise cancellation that happened in AirPods Pro. Like I've experienced noise cancellation before. I just didn't realize it'd be that good in something so small. Yeah. So I was already like pretty blown away by that. But spatial audio is something. It was almost like touching the iPhone screen for the first time. Like something that's so shockingly good, right? And it's so weird that it's such a under advertised feature.
Yeah, totally.
That is just like just shockingly.
I think there's a lot. I think there's a lot that they're not. Like kind of communicating around the improvements, because the other thing I noticed too, I don't know if you had to have spatial audio on or not, but I just went for a walk yesterday, and one thing I realized is that when you start playing something, so there's the transparency mode with the AirPod Pros. One thing I noticed is that when I started playing something, the outside noise is actually like lowered a bit. So like, how it pipes in kind of like for using the microphones, the surrounding noises. I actually, it did something a little bit differently, but it works. Like it actually feels like a lot more like natural. Because, I think you don't want too much external noise, right? Whenever you're trying to listen to your own thing. But then as soon as you pause it, like then more of the external noise came in, which is just like, again, the fact that they basically put software on headphones, right? Which is a brilliant part. Like that's again $350, expensive for headphones, but not really whenever you have something that's basically updatable and has become like basically a platform for new features, right?
Yeah, definitely. All right, Dave, if we haven't driven the message home enough, you need to buy a iOS device and you need to get yourself some AirPods Pro. All right. Again, I mean, there's so much Apple stuff to talk about, but again, like even in the past when big announcements were made, we kind of, even though we're an entertainment technology and cars podcast, we know we're other things as well. So I'm going to move on. I mean, there were a lot of awesome Apple things, but I'm happy that we agree that the most shocking thing that happened in the last week was spatial audio for Apple. So, okay, I want to switch gears a little bit. And just before we take the break, I want to talk about one thing that I thought is super good. And again, we're only going to spend a couple minutes because we're almost up to the break already. Have you heard or have you watched or have you seen the trailer for or movie? Have you watched The Social Dilemma?
Actually, just started watching that. I know it's not a series, but watch like the first half of the docudrama. I guess that's what it is, right? Kind of like it's not like a pure documentary. There's like that. Dramatized, that part was like where they have actual actors, which I always find weird in a documentary. But I started watching it yesterday. Totally.
So I will say that part could have potentially ruined the movie, but it.
So you watched it?
Yeah. So I watched the whole thing actually.
I don't want to ruin too much, but is that dude from Mad Men? Is that actor?
Is he? I don't know.
So like, do you know what I'm talking about? Like the AI.
Oh, I don't. I haven't. Well, first of all, I haven't seen Mad Men.
Yeah, but okay. I'm pretty sure that's someone. Yeah.
Right. Anyways, okay. Yeah. So all I want to say is this. I don't. I mean, okay. Yes, I'm. I hate to admit it, but I am a pretty pretentious person. Okay, in the sense that I tend to say things that make me pretend that I'm something bigger than I actually am. But I want to use this term to describe this movie, but it's going to sound pretentious. I think this movie is a very important movie. Ooh. I think people should really watch this movie because, so first of all, I think this movie is the better version of The Great Hack. Do you remember The Great Hack?
Okay, yeah.
I think The Great Hack was kind of getting at some of the similar ideas.
Yeah, same like kind of topic and yeah.
Yeah. So FDK, I can't say that without laughing. Okay, so The Great Hack was a movie on Netflix, a documentary on Netflix, kind of a little bit about what's happening with all the data gathering and social media platforms and all that stuff. This movie explores similar topics. It's got a different kind of thesis and different kind of message, but it kind of explores similar topics. But first of all, what I think is so cool is that the interviews are with people who worked on these products. That's a really cool thing.
Yeah.
And then secondly, I think it's just way better done. But I do think the interviews with the people who worked on this gives it a lot more weight. And long story short, again, we kind of got to wrap it up here because we're kind of coming up to a break here. But I just it had me thinking about my own place as a software engineer and what I do, and the clients that I serve, and because and just kind of like creating software for good rather than just for business profit, right?
Yeah.
And the massive negative social effects it has on people if you do it specifically for business profit. Right?
Well, there's that great saying, and it's not new to, it's not the first time I've seen it said, but if at the end of the day, if you're using something, right, and you're not paying for it, because again, all these companies are businesses, right? Like you don't look at something like Google or Facebook. No one would say that they're not a business, right? So that they're trying to sell something. Every business has a product or service, and so I think there's a good saying in that movie that's basically if you're not paying for it, like you are the product, right?
Exactly.
Because again, you don't when you use Google, it's free. When you use Facebook, it's completely free. So I mean, yeah. So again, I know we're up on break time, but this is actually this got me reminded yesterday about I think one thing that a lot of people forget of, like, when you look at why is Apple doing so well, right? Everyone likes to debate their products and like an iPhone versus an Android phone, but at the end of the day, the main difference is that Apple is in the business of selling you like that phone, that product, right?
Yeah, the
hardware.
hardware.
Google is not. Like, they do sell phones, but that's not their primary business, right? They're in business to sell advertising and sell the services that kind of go along with that. And so, like, I think at the end of the day, Apple is just much more aligned with what their customers want, right? Like,
I think what it is I think Apple has a better chance of surviving what is happening right now. Like, I think Apple is starting to tread into that territory with a lot of their services, and I think and if anything, I think they're starting to use their security arm as a marketing tool a little bit.
Totally, yeah.
But I think they have the biggest chance of surviving what's happening with people being a lot more concerned about privacy, people being a lot more concerned about their data and all this stuff like that. Because if you basically lock down all the data and you enforce strict privacy rules and all this stuff like that, companies like Facebook, Twitter, Google, all these people, they don't have a backup, right? But Apple,
and I'm not painting Apple as like, oh, they're like kind of the shining altruistic entity. They're probably doing it at this point because it's anti Google and Facebook, right?
Yeah,
like basically just doing the opposite. But I think ultimately, if you look at the people working at these companies, right? Apple, probably the balance of the development there is purely on making like a better phone, making better watches and stuff like that. Whereas that does happen at a place like Google or Facebook, but there's 10 times as many people working on like advertising and extrapolating that, right? So,
and that's their business, right? So yeah. All right, so Dave, again, buy an iOS device. Multiple reasons in this podcast. We're gonna take a short break, but we'll be right back after this. And we are back on episode 43 of the ETC podcast, your one-stop pod for entertainment, technology, and cars. Although I'm hearing more and more a divide in our audience when it comes to the C, when it comes to the cars.
Yeah.
So my friend Kale, I know him through his dad. Actually, I used to work for his dad, and this is a guy I trust because. So one of the first times we met, we went on a 6-hour drive to London and back. Okay. So we're going for a work thing. We rented a car. We're in the car for 6 hours there and back. Didn't really meet before. I think we'd met maybe once or twice, but didn't really know each other. We drove 6 hours there, 6 hours back. The radio only came on once at the very end for like the last 10 minutes of the drive because we're having such a good conversation.
Nice.
So this is a guy I trust. This is a guy I trust. This is what he has to say.
Oh man, we got real feedback. This is awesome.
Okay, so maybe we should do this now. So what I was so pumped this week because we have a lot of correspondence. So maybe we should do this now, actually. Okay.
Yeah,
so
totally.
And I was all pumped because I was gonna do a little theme song, a little jingle that was gonna be like super like funny and all this stuff. But I couldn't get it in time together. So like next time, if we have any more correspondence in the future, maybe I'll actually do a theme. But this could be it. We might not ever get any correspondence after this. But for those who don't know, if you want to email us, you can email us at podcast.etc@gmail.com. You can leave a voice message on our website, or you can just talk to us. Most of you guys are just our friends anyway. So this is what Kale has. So we got a lot of correspondence to get through here. Let's start with the first one. Okay, so from Kale, it's small. He says, "Hey Casey, gave it a listen. I liked it! ! More
Nice.
car stuff! !
All right, yeah.
And then he said, intro, outro music is a nice touch also. And I said, thanks. Yeah, audience is definitely divided on car material. He's like, change it to ET then.
I mean, we're not opposed to putting in more car material, right?
Yeah, I know. I just always felt we lost the audience,
Yeah.
Like, I don't think we have the finesse right now that Top Gear has, where like Top Gear, even non-car people like watching it. Whereas us, when we talk about car stuff, it's like we're like really into the car stuff, and then people just kind of fall asleep.
This crossover, I'm sure we could, talk about.
We could try. Okay, so let's put it out there. Let's put it. You know what? Let's do this. We are gonna make a Twitter poll in the next week or so.
Nice.
And we're gonna say, do you want us to do more car stuff or less car stuff? And let's see how many. We got like 2 votes.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes. Okay, so that was from Kale. So thanks for giving us that feedback. The next correspondence we have is from our friend Andrea. So Andrea has been listening to the podcast, and she has been watching it a lot through YouTube, actually.
Okay.
And we mentioned this. She found it on YouTube first. Again, kudos to Aaron for suggesting this. So if you guys don't know, we are on YouTube as well, and people seem to like that. So, she had written like a week ago or so about like, she just discovered this. So pumped to watch it later. Also pumped for Bonnie to be a local celeb guest. She says, that was great, guys. I felt like I was hanging out with you. Had a few good laughs. And, we mentioned this, when we were all hanging out the other night, socially distanced hanging out, that the number one comment we get from our friends listening to it is that it's like hanging out with us.
Yeah.
So,
which is awesome to hear.
Yeah.
And maybe even that, like in like now, maybe that's actually, because I think before it's like, hanging out, like, well, we do that anyways, right?
Yeah.
But in today's world, maybe that's actually, we shouldn't take that for granted.
Yeah, maybe that's the best compliment we could get. Yeah, I like, just amazing. And then she also wrote, she's just like leaving lots of comments on our stuff, which is great. So last episode 42, she's like, great opening piece. I'm with Aaron. I'll never look at Bond intro the same. Aaron, please keep your Apple. Oh yeah, this is good. Okay, so definitely go back and listen to episode 42 about Aaron's Apple News subscription, which incidentally is now a whole new ball game with Apple One, right?
I have canceled it, by the way, as an update. As an update to that, I canceled my
you
Apple
canceled it already?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny. Okay, well, Andrea's not going to be happy then.
Sorry. It might come back. It might come back because, Apple now has more subscription options, but I have canceled it as an update.
So she said, Aaron, please keep your Apple News subscription. Both your responses were too entertaining.
Those are the free articles though, right? So I can still go into Apple News.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
But you won't get the For You suggestion.
Yeah, that's what was it? Ryan Reynolds, right? His business.
Oh,
savvy. I won't be able to read those articles.
Did the Cougar thing not come from the For You section?
The Cougar did, yeah, but the
okay.
Ryan Reynolds thing was an actual paid content thing.
Oh yeah. Right.
Yeah.
She says it's the best, in case you don't know, and air quotes for those who are not watching the video version, ever. Laughed out loud so hard. So again, great stuff. And then lastly, our friend Elaine actually wrote us as well, all the way from Alberta.
Awesome.
She actually wrote a pretty long message here about loving the humor. She said this might just be me, but I always like seeing facial expressions and sometimes I couldn't see your face. Maybe that was intentional though. Oh, that's probably because of my big windscreen here. But I think there's something to be said about that people like the video version, right? They like the video version. So that's great. I think it's great that
which is awesome because I mean, like audio is great, but also, it's not as you can be doing some errand or, just kind of walking around, right? So the fact that people are watching video, that means they're like dedicated. They're actually watching and like sitting down and not doing much else, right? Which is
well.
Awesome.
You just reminded me. Actually, I got to mention our friends Chris and Hannah actually in Boston. Okay, this is crazy. So So Chris is one of our biggest fans, if not our only true fan, to be honest. Actually, Amy was a big fan of the original podcast. Well, I shouldn't downplay everybody else. Like a lot of people like our podcast. I shouldn't downplay that. But Chris was a really big fan, especially as someone who doesn't hang out with me on a day-to-day basis. He was just kind of secretly listening to us. And I found out through Amy, she was like, "Oh, did you know like Chris listens to your podcast a lot?" I'm like, "Oh, cool." So anyways, he's apparently a pretty big fan of ours. So here's him and his wife Hannah. What they did is they like messaged me with a picture. They put our podcast, the YouTube video, up on their like, I don't know how big, 40, 55 inch screen. And we're awesome. eating momos. Like, momos, those like dumplings or whatever.
Yeah.
Like
Momo
spot.
Yeah.
Yeah. They sat down to eat momos and watch our podcast.
I feel like you made it when people will put you on a TV and eat food at the same time.
Yeah, and dedicated to watching you, right? So big thanks to all you guys for the support you've been giving us. But that's I wrote to them. I was like, I was not prepared for this level of fandom. So big thanks to us. Okay, but all of that, as great as that is, all of that has been building up to this. The reason why I wanted to have a whole correspondence section and the whole reason I wanted to do a theme song and everything like that. We got our very first voice message.
Nice.
Somebody actually took our instructions, went onto our website and left us a voice message. And we welcome all, by the way, voice messages. So I'm just going to bring this up here and we're going to play that voice message.
First one, eh? I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah, this is the first one. I've never, I haven't listened to this besides the first kind of couple seconds to like, just test our audio or whatever like that. But I'm going to play this for me and Aaron and then we'll talk about it. Okay, so here it is.
Hey guys, great episode 42. So happy for you guys. I wasn't sure if you ever had a voice recording, so I thought I'd give you one, but the episode was great. I also didn't know that a slingshot was a firearm. And I'm loving Dee Dee's positivity and Aaron's like dry sarcasm. Loving it, guys. Keep up the great work.
That's awesome. Amazing. Thank you. That voice sounds very familiar.
So that's Elaine. That's Elaine.
Okay.
So Elaine texted me feedback,
you.
But also left our first voice message. So thanks, Elaine. That's really kind comments. For FDK, she referred to me as Dee Dee. So Dee Dee is kind of like my family friends. My family calls me that, first of all, because it means little brother in Suzhou, which is where my mom's from. So my family friends kind of got to know me by calling me that. And so anybody I met through my family friends all call me Dee Dee. So yeah, that was pretty cool, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so thanks, Elaine, for sending us a voice message. If you want to send your very own voice message, you can check out the link in the show notes, but it's anchor.fm/the-etc-podcast. All right, it is time for our regular segment, and we're almost out of time, actually, for what is on Aaron's noggin. Oh, hold on. Oh,
I feel like I've already. What?
Sorry, I can't end the correspondence section without also giving a shout out to Dave and Brody. Dave and Brody have also been heavily on our Twitter feed, and they've been promoting us through Twitter. So I definitely don't want to discount them either. That's always really welcome. Dave is, trolling our accounts, as it were. Brody's more promoting us. So but anyway, so big thanks. Brody tweeted something about, let me just bring it up here. Aaron, make up a song while I'm doing this.
I will say I feel like I've already said what's on my mind, which is just like Apple everything for whatever reason this week. So yeah, I think the last thing I will say on that is so the watch, right? So there's a new watch, right? And there's a bunch of new features. One of them is detecting your blood, essentially blood oxygen level in some way.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I think it's a pulse oximeter is kind of the sensor name. But they've been adding a bunch of these kind of health and kind of measurement features for a while. I think the last watch introduced a way to actually measure a really basic ECG, like heart rhythm. But yeah, I think again, it's one of the things, it sounds silly because it's like, hey, why would you pay, no one needs this. Why would you pay hundreds of dollars? But they had this really cool, video segment, and Apple's obviously great. Their marketing department's obviously really great at making these, of all these people that basically had life-threatening situations that their watch basically helped them or potentially save their life, right? Everything from someone who fell down to someone who's actually going to having a heart attack,
right.
to someone who's going to septic shock. The watch actually warned them to say, something might be wrong. So it's interesting because, again, going back to, $350 is a lot for headphones, but maybe not on the basis of it being a home theater, audio thing. Same thing with your watch, right? How much would you pay to be warned about a heart attack, right?
Priceless.
So, I mean, probably more than a couple $100s, for a lot of people. So yeah.
So Dave, gotta get yourself an Apple Watch too. All right. So Brody wrote, better 8 than never. Shout out to Casey and Aaron on the triumphant return of the ETC podcast. Your one-stop shop for everything entertainment, technology, and cars related. Welcome them back with a listen on all your podcast formats. Brody is doing a better job of promoting us than our official promoter, Dave. So,
yeah, hired. Sorry,
but
Dave.
Anyways,
sorry.
I want to
find out this way that you're fired.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So big thanks everybody for all your correspondence. Keep it coming. We love the support that we're getting. Okay, so we are 40 some minutes in, so it's time for the news.
Yes, I feel like this whole thing's more or less been news, but
I mean the whole podcast is basically news. I just ripped off
current events.
I ripped off Top Gear by saying let's do the news, even though the whole thing is basically news. So one of the comments back to Elaine with all her messages, one of the comments that she made actually was she said something along the lines of I hope there's some talk about Fresh Prince. And I'm like, what? What does this have to do with? So I Googled it and I found out that if this is what she's talking about, that Fresh Prince, Will Smith is organizing a Fresh Prince reunion on HBO. It's going to be some HBO special.
That's cool.
First of all, good news with both the Vivians. Did you watch the show or?
I did. I mean, it's been a while because I think it was after school kind of I don't know, it was reruns at that point. Because what year did it, I don't know if I watched the original or the reruns. What years did that run for?
It's a good question. I want to say 90 to 96, but I think I'm way off on that.
Okay, so while that makes sense. While I was in like school or something, right? Like
Yeah. So anyways, they had two actresses play the mom. They switched them halfway through.
I remember that.
Jazz made a really funny joke about it. So both of them are coming back for the reunion. Sadly, the dad, James Avery, he had passed away. So obviously he's not going to be there, but they're going to do some kind of, I think they're probably obviously going to, honor him and stuff like that. So that's, kind of in the realm of live action stuff. And I hope it's not a reboot, because I'm really not for what's going on with all these like sitcom reboots. Like Frasier is one of my favorite sitcoms of all time, if not my favorite sitcom of all time. And they're talking about rebooting. And I'm like, just leave the perfect Frasier alone.
What I actually am not. I don't think I watched a reboot. What was like kind of the last one?
Okay, so Will and Grace, they rebooted.
Okay.
Full House, they kind of rebooted. Like they rebooted Full House,
yes.
but it was just with the daughter and like her story.
Yeah.
But like Will and Grace, I think was all the original characters still being the main characters. Roseanne, they rebooted before Roseanne made some unfortunate comments. So all these old sitcoms they're rebooting. Like movies I kind of get, and I don't even like when movies do it.
Yeah.
But so when this happened, I'm like, okay, whatever. But there is a reboot that's happening that I am genuinely very excited about, though. That is not a sitcom. It's a cartoon with all the original voices coming back. So I was shocked to find out that this is happening. But Animaniacs is coming back.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm down with that.
So that's I'm pretty excited about that. Animaniacs come back, all the original voices for Yakko, Wacko, and Dot.
Oh wow.
It's I don't know what it's called. Pinky and the Brain. Even they're gonna still have Pinky and the Brain in there. Yeah. So definitely.
I love those just because they felt very like I know it's a weird thing to say, but like they felt very smart and sophisticated for what they were.
Oh, they're so smart,
right? So I feel like I would enjoy that even now as an adult.
I used to I had this thing where like I didn't really get bullied as a kid. Like I was fortunate enough, like for the most part people left me alone. But I always had this thing that if I were bullied, I would love to have Yakko, Wacko, and Dot as my friends, because they were so like witty and they always had like awesome comebacks and everything. So like I was like, man, if I was bullied, Yakko, Wacko, and Dot as friends would be pretty amazing. So Animaniacs is coming back as usual. I don't know what network. I don't know when it's happening. I don't know if it's coming back for a full series or what. But yeah, that's definitely back. You shared with me a bit of news that we spread incorrectly last week. Mandalorian season 2 trailer dropped.
Yeah. What did we say?
When we recorded last episode, we said that it was already out, but
the trailer, right? Yeah.
So that trailer came out. I didn't get a chance to watch it yet.
Oh, you didn't watch it? Okay.
No.
Yeah.
But is it looking good?
Yeah. So good. I won't say anything until you watch more. Until you watch, but it's. I mean, it's
okay.
the one thing I'll say, and I think this is why even when the first season aired is, it's such a hip like modern, not modern and like futuristic, but I think. It's the most forward facing in terms of style Star Wars thing out there, because like I think even the movies, they had to like look what happened, right? Like I don't want to get off on a rant here, but the first movie I think everyone loved because it was basically just in the spirit of the original movies, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm talking about episode 7 and up. Yeah, 7 to 9.
Yeah.
8, like a lot of like some people love, a lot of people were pissed because like they're trying to do something different. But I think with something like The Mandalorian, like they're kind of free to do that, right?
Yeah.
Like and that's kind of cool that they can kind of, it's still Star Wars, but it's a very fresh take, which is cool.
Yes, for sure. Okay, we are coming to a close here on this episode 43 of the ETC podcast. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, be sure to email us at podcast.etc@gmail.com. But as you could tell from our correspondence section, there are so many more ways to get in touch with us. You can go to our YouTube channel, just search the ETC podcast with either Casey Lee or Aaron Sedanker at the end. You can leave some comments on there. You can also leave us a voice message, as Elaine did. She was the first one, but you could be the second or the third to leave us a message there. You can also follow us on Twitter at the ETC podcast. Just so many ways to get in touch with us to enjoy our lovely, lovely podcast. Don't forget to keep your eyes peeled for the big, huge, amazing Twitter poll about whether we should do more car news or whether we should do less car news.
And maybe next week, depending on the results of that, we will either do that or not.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? Who knows if we'll get our episode out on time next week too. But as always, is there anything left to say, Aaron? Is there anything on your mind, on your noggin? I mean, I'm always so shocked how hard it is to squeeze like more than one topic into this hour, so.
Yeah. No, I think I've said all my Apple fan thoughts.
Yes. I've been pressuring Dave to get an iOS device on this episode. Do you want to throw your 2 cents in too?
I mean, realistically, AirPods is the only thing you need, but you just have to buy an iPhone to use them. So.
But anyways, I do sincerely want to thank everybody and all their support. I joke a lot about, how few listeners we have and how few subscribers we have. But you know what? I'm actually very proud of the audience that we built, and I'm very proud of this podcast. I have a lot of fun doing it with Aaron, and the support that you guys give us is great. I did not expect people to spend as much time as they do listening to the podcast. I'm my biggest fan, and I do listen to it myself, but I wasn't expecting this many other people to listen to it. So thank you so much, guys, for all your listening, all your viewing, and all your comments and correspondence, everything. We really do appreciate it. So that is it, everybody, for this wonderful episode 43 of the ETC podcast on September 17th, 2020. The ETC podcast is hosted on Anchor.fm and distributed to all your favorite platforms, including podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Whoa, hold on. By the way, but 1 episode ago, I said Google Podcasts, and then I mentioned radio something, and I realized you had misinterpreted as the radio thing being Google's podcast app.
Right.
No. They're 2 separate things.
Okay.
Google has its own podcast.
I can't keep track.
Yeah. Anyways, Overcast. It's all on all the major platforms except for Stitcher right now. I don't know what's happening with that. I don't know if we'll ever get on Stitcher.
But we fixed Apple Podcasts, which is the
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That was broken for whatever reason, but
yes. No, thanks for reminding me that. Yeah. So Apple Podcasts is working now. I'm pretty sure I had a lot to do with why it went down. Something along the lines of me deleting the feed. Basically I deleted the original feed and it messed up everything. So anyway, so it's working on Apple Podcasts again. Thanks everybody so much. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, email us, comment, whatever, do all that stuff. This has been a lot of fun, and stay safe, stay hungry, stay happy. I don't know. Stay anything. Watch Interstellar because it's an awesome movie. I just rewatched it. It's amazing. And if you have an Apple device, try to watch it with Spatial audio. All right, that's it, guys. Episode 43, September 17th, 2020. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you guys in the next one.
Spatial audio.